Hello, everyone. I'll be talking about 20th century literature, and the focus will be on movement poet Philip Larkins. I will begin with the introduction of Philip Larkins. Brunette Coleman was the pseudonym of Philip Larkins. He was born on 9th August 1922 in Coventry, and he was the second child of Sydney and Eva. He was one of the post-war England's most famous poets and a novelist. He was also commonly referred to as England's other poet laureate. Reason being, he never wanted to be in the limelight. उन्होंने पोएट लॉरिएट की जो ऑनर था उसको कभी स्वीकार नहीं किया. That is the reason उन्हें England's other poet laureate कहा जाता है. He is also regarded as the movement poet, as he was associated with the movement school of poetry. The term movement, it refers to the work of a group of poets of the 1950s, namely John Wayne, Donald Davy, Kingsley Amis, Tom Gunn, and there were few other poets who were associated with the movement. So Larkin, he started writing poems when he was just 15 years old. But he first came into the limelight as a novelist. His first novel was Jill, which was published in 1946. Then came his next novel entitled A Girl in Winter. The first major volume of his poems, entitled The North Ship, appeared in 1945. The second was entitled The Less Deceived. It appeared in 1955. The third in 1964. And the title was The Whitsun Weddings. The fourth and final volume appeared in 1974 under the title of High Windows. So I'll begin with the explanation of the poem Church Going. पोम को एक्सप्लेन करने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका ये होता है कि हम उसका टेक्स्ट पढ़ें और टेक्स्ट के साथ में फिर उसका एक्सप्लेनेशन करें. अभी मैं आपको इसका इंट्रोडक्शन दे रही हूँ. आई एम बिगिनिंग विद द इंट्रोडक्शन. दिस पोम, इट वाज रिटन इन द ईयर 1954. And the poem is in the form of a monologue. And what we see is that this poem begins on a note of casual irreverence, but it ends on a serious note. The poem reveals the social context of the time when it was written. That was a time when there was a general decline in the attendance in church. And this thing, it began from the year 1945. So this poem, it expresses the view that faith and belief in religion may die, but the spirit of tradition, which was represented by the English church, cannot come to an end. यानी लोगों की अटेंडेंस, डिवोटीज की जो अटेंडेंस है वो चर्च में कम हो सकती है, और धीरे धीरे पोएट का मानना है हो सकता है एक ऐसा समय आए जब लोग चर्च में आना ही बंद कर दें. उनका फेथ जो है भगवान में हो सकता है वो खत्म हो जाए, लेकिन फिर भी कहीं एक स्पिरिट ऐसी है जो उनके मन में, जो उन्हें चर्च से जोड़ कर रखेगी. वो जो ट्रेडिशन है, विजिटिंग द चर्च, that will never come to an end. Although he is dismissing the concept that church is house of God, yet he believes that churches would continue to serve some emotional or spiritual purpose even after the rejection of the current religious beliefs. So coming to the explanation. पहले मैं थोड़ा सा टेक्स्ट रीड करूंगी और उसके बाद में उसका एक्सप्लेनेशन साथ साथ आपको देती जाऊंगी. So once I'm sure there is nothing going on, I step inside. So once the poet, see here the speaker, you can see I am sure. So the speaker, and undoubtedly he is Philip Larkins. What does he say? That he goes inside the church building only after making sure that no ceremony or ritual is being performed at that time. Nothing is going on, I step inside. So no ceremony is going on. In the very first line, you will see that he has used enjambment, E-N-J-A-M-B-E-M-E-N-T. What does this literary term mean, enjambment? It means the running over of a sentence into another line. आप देख सकते हैं कि जो first sentence है, वो first line में complete नहीं हुआ है, बल्कि कुछ जो words हैं वो second line में jump करे हैं, second line में continue हो रहे हैं. कहाँ से? I step inside. Second line में आप देख सकते हैं first sentence second line तक जा रहा है. So the term for this is enjambment, that is running over of a sentence into another lines. So the speaker says that he goes inside the church building after making sure that nothing or no ceremony is going on, letting the door thud shut. And behind him, the door, it shuts with the sound thud. So shut, thud. You can see use of assonance, right? U, T-H-U-D, S-H-U-T. So use of assonance because of the vowel sound. And third, this is use of onomatopoeia. That is the word whose sound suggests the sense. Thud is the sound which the door produces when it is shut. Just as you must have read the word hiss for snakes, that the snakes hiss. So from the word hiss, you can make out it is the sound of the snake, right? Or buzz. So buzzing of bee. Again, the word buzz, it brings to our mind or to our senses that this is the sound of bee. Now coming to the third line, another church, matting seats and stone and little books, sprawling of flowers, cut for Sunday, brownish now, some brass and stuff up at the holy end, the small neat organ, and a tense, musty, unignorable silence, brewed God knows how long. So one thing, poet has made sure that no ritual is being performed at the time in the church. And what does he see inside the church? He sees the matting on the floor, the seats, and a number of Bibles that were placed there. Also, the little books is the Bible. Then there is, he also sees the flowers which have been placed there, cut for Sunday, which were cut for last Sunday, because we can see that now they have faded. They have turned brownish. They are brownish in color now. So when the flowers, they fade, they turn brown. Then what does he see? A small neat organ. That is, some musical instrument is placed there. Most probably it is a piano on which the choir sings the song, they worship in the church. But what is he experiencing? He sees that there is a silence which cannot be ignored. Musty is the smell. There is a musty smell, stale smell. So these things, a tense, musty, ignorable silence. This proves that this place has not been visited by a devotee from a very long time. क्योंकि दरवाजा खुला ही नहीं, चर्च में कोई आया नहीं तो दरवाजा नहीं खुला, इस वजह से अंदर एक स्टेल सी स्मेल आ रही है और एकदम साइलेंस है जिसको हम इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते. So God knows for how long this thing has been, the situation has been like this here. Hatless, I take off my cycle clips in awkward reverence. So what does he do? Because he is not wearing any hat, so he takes off his bicycle clips. And this is the way he is trying to show, he's feeling awkward, but he's trying to show his reverence or respect. Coming to the second stanza, move forward, run my hand around the font. From where I stand, the roof looks almost new, cleaned or restored. So what is he saying? The speaker, he moves forward now. He moves forward in the church and he runs his hand around the font. So what is font? It is the container for holy water. So he moves his hand around the font. From where I stand. What is he saying? From the place where he is standing. He can see the roof looks almost new. That the roof of the church is new. As if it has been cleaned or restored. That is renovated. As if the renovation work has been going on there. So जहां वो खड़े हैं वहां से रूफ एकदम साफ दिख रही है. ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे चर्च में रेनोवेशन का काम चल रहा है. Someone would know, I don't. And then how is he concluding his this thing? Because he has asked a question, you can see that someone would know, but I don't know. What is the reason behind this? Mounting the lectern, I peruse a few hectoring large-scale verses and pronounce, here endeth, much more loudly than I had meant. So now, what did he do? Now he mounts, that is, he climbs on the lectern. So lectern is the platform from where the priest, he reads out the holy verses. So he climbs or mounts on the lectern and he goes through few verses from the Bible. And what do we see? At the end of his reading, very loudly, he says or he pronounces, here endeth. That is, here it ends, which was more loudly than he had meant. See, that place is, there's no one there. So that was the reason when he said, here endeth on a louder pitch, there was an echo there. खाली जगह में आवाज गूंजती है तो उनको और ज्यादा तेज आवाज अपनी सुनाई पड़ी, अपने इंटेंशन से भी ज्यादा. इतना तेज वो बोलना नहीं चाह रहे थे. The echoes snicker briefly and he could hear the echoes of those words. Okay, as if someone was mocking at him. Back at the door, I signed the book. Donate an Irish sixpence. Reflect the place was not worth stopping for. So now what did he do? So after reading this, again he goes back to the entrance of the church and there he signs the book. जो visitors के लिए जो book रखी होती है उसमें उन्होंने sign किया. And then what did he do? He drops an Irish sixpence. वहां पे जो drop box था charity के लिए उन्होंने उसमें Irish sixpence जो थे charity box में उन्होंने डाले and he came out. Reflect the place was not worth stopping for. So it reflect, that is, it seems to him that this place was not worth stopping for, as if he had wasted some time. He had, although he had spent very little time inside the church, but उनको क्या लग रहा है कि नहीं, ये जगह इससे ज्यादा देर रुकने के लिए नहीं है. The third paragraph, yet stop I did. In fact, I often do, and always end much at a loss like this. Wondering what to look for. Wondering too, when churches fall completely out of use, what we shall turn them into. If we shall keep a few cathedrals chronically on show, their parchment, plate, and pyx is locked in locked cases, and let the rest rent free to rain and sheep. So, what is he saying? Yet stop I did. That is, he, and in fact, I often do. So, the speaker is saying he often stops outside the church buildings. And this has been going on from a very long time. So he stops and then he goes inside the church building. But every time he had gone into a church, he feels that he is at a loss like this. He's saying same thing happens. Every time he feels that he is at a loss, as if he has wasted his time. And wondering what to look for. He wonders on these occasions that what should he look for? Wandering to when churches, and then he thinks, what will happen? What will happen when churches fall completely out of use? That is when people will completely stop coming to the churches. What will happen to these buildings? What we shall turn them into? So what are we going to turn these buildings into? चर्च की जो बिल्डिंग है, जब लोग वहां आना बिल्कुल ही बंद कर देंगे तो हम इन बिल्डिंग्स को किस चीज में कन्वर्ट करेंगे? If we shall keep a few cathedrals chronically on show, then he is giving a suggestion. What is he saying? Maybe we will keep, I won't use maybe, perhaps a few of the church would be kept or would be converted into museum. शो पर कोई चीज कहाँ रखी जाती है? म्यूजियम में. सो कुछ कैथेड्रल्स को क्रॉनिकली उनके इंपॉर्टेंस के हिसाब से शो में यानी म्यूजियम में कन्वर्ट कर दिया जाएगा. And what will be on display? Their parchment. So what is a parchment? It is the skin of sheep or goat which is prepared for writing on. होली जो स्क्रिप्चर है ये सब पहले जमाने में स्किन जो होती थी शीप या गोट की उसको ड्राई करके लिखने के लिए तैयार किया जाता था. सो उस तरह के जो पार्चमेंट वहां पर हैं उनको संभाल कर म्यूजियम में शो में रख दिया जाएगा. प्लेट एंड पिक्स. पिक्स इज अ स्मॉल बॉक्स और अ कैस्केट एंड ऑल दीज विल बी केप्ट इन लॉक्ड केसेस. आपने म्यूजियम में देखा होगा हर चीज को जो वैल्यूएबल है, पुरानी है, एंटीक है, उसको संभाल कर उसको लॉक्ड केसेस में रखा जाता है ताकि लोग उसको हाथ ना लगाएं. सो यही ये सजेशन दे रहे हैं कि perhaps few of the churches would be converted into museums where these articles such as the parchment, plate, the pyx, they would be placed in locked cases for the visitors to see. And let the rest rent free to rain and sheep. You can see alliteration, sound of this consonant R. Rest, rent, free, rain, r. Okay, so use of alliteration in the second last line of third stanza. And the remaining church buildings, they would be left or they would be offered free of rent. यानी कोई रेंट देने की जरूरत नहीं है. किसको ऑफर करी जा रही है? टू रेन एंड शीप. Or we can say that these buildings, they will be of no use at all. Rain will fall, there will be no one to take care of that, and the sheep, they would come grazing there. Shall we avoid them as unlucky places? And now there is a question, a rhetoric question. What will happen when these buildings will be out of use? Most probably people would begin to avoid these churches as unlucky places. सीधा आए नहीं. आप देखिए जो जगह भगवान का स्थान मानी जाती है, जहां पूजा करी जाती है, एक समय ऐसा आएगा जब लोगों का फेथ खत्म हो जाएगा तो वो यहाँ आना इसलिए बंद कर देंगे क्योंकि they'll consider it as unlucky place. Now paragraph number 4. or after dark will dubious women come to make their children touch a particular stone, pick simples for a cancer, or on some advised night see walking a dead one. So now the poet Philip Larkin, he is giving us another possibility that after dark, late in the evening, once the sun sets, dubious women come. That is, women who are unknown women. They might come to make their children touch a particular stone. They would come with their children who are sick, who are ill. And what is the intention behind that? That they would make their sick children touch a particular stone with the hope that the child might get well. आप लोगों ने ये चीज सुनी होगी, जाके भगवान के जो वहां पे जो स्टोन्स होते हैं चर्च में, मंदिर में, कहीं पर्टिकुलर उसको बच्चों का सर लगवाते हैं या जहां पर तकलीफ होती है वो छुआते हैं, क्या सोचकर कि वो बिल्कुल ठीक हो जाएगा. ये विश्वास होता है, ये फेथ होता है. सो उसी के बारे में पोएट यहाँ बात कर रहे हैं, that some unknown woman she might visit this deserted church and make her sick child touch some particular stone with the hope that the child might get well. Pick simples for a cancer, or she might pick up some simples considering it as a cure for her child who is suffering from cancer, or on some advised night see walking a dead one. Or maybe some of the women might see the spirits of their dead relatives, dead one walking, that is the spirit of a dead person walking there. So there are so many different reasons, बहुत से कारण जिनको ध्यान में रखते हुए हम क्या देख रहे हैं, लोग वहां पर आएंगे. Not with a religious inclination, धर्म के हिसाब से नहीं, कुछ कैसे आ रही है, रात में छुपते छुपाते अपने बच्चों के इलाज के लिए, और कुछ अपने डेड रिलेटिव्स को वहां पर देखने के लिए. Power of some sort or other will go on in games and riddles seemingly at random, but superstition, like belief, must die. And what remains when disbelief has gone? So you see, again, there is one more question, a rhetoric question. So what is he saying? These women, they will come to see some sort of supernatural power, to seek some sort of supernatural power from these buildings. And eventually, the poet says that these superstitions would come to an end, just as belief has, just as the religion has. जैसे religion धीरे धीरे खत्म हुआ, उसी तरह से ये जो सुपरस्टिशन है कि यहाँ पर किसी पर्टिकुलर स्टोन से पूजा करने से या टच करने से वो बीमारी खत्म हो जाएगी, ये कह रहे हैं उस तरह का सुपरस्टिशन भी, even that would die. So eventually even the superstition would come to an end, just as religious belief had previously come to an end, making these churches useless. And what would happen afterwards? What would happen once these superstitions also end? We will see that in course of time, grass, weedy pavements, brambles, buttress sky, that is, there will be weedy or thorny plants, grass will grow, there will be shrubs. We will see the shrubs growing on the path that leads to the church. रास्ते जो हैं उन पे घास उग जाएगी, वीड्स, जंगली पौधे उग जाएंगे जिनमें कांटे होंगे, श्रब्स, झाड़ियां तरह तरह की हमें ना सिर्फ उस रास्ते पर जो चर्च तक जाता है बल्कि बिल्डिंग में जगह जगह हमें दिखाई देने लगेंगी. ऐसा क्यों होगा? क्योंकि अब वहां पर उसका कोई ध्यान रखने वाला नहीं है. A shapeless, recognizable each week, a purpose more obscure. And with each passing week, what will we see? That the church buildings, they become लेस एंड लेस रिकॉग्नाइजेबल, हमें पहचान में आनी ही बंद हो जाएंगी जैसे जैसे एक के बाद एक सप्ताह निकलते जाएंगे, जैसे जैसे टाइम निकलता जाएगा वो बिल्डिंग, क्योंकि उनका कोई ध्यान देने वाला नहीं है, रिकॉग्नाइज, हम उनको पहचान भी नहीं पाएंगे. अ पर्पस मोर ऑब्सक्योर, and the people passing, what will they think? They would not even know what was the purpose for these buildings or what purpose these buildings have served. उनके लिए सोचना या समझना भी मुश्किल हो जाएगा, वो देखकर पहचान ही नहीं पाएंगे कि ये पहले कभी चर्च था. So the people, they would not know what purpose these buildings had served. I wonder who will be the last, the very last, to seek this place for what it was. So now he's wondering, he's thinking. What is he thinking? That who would be the last person, the very last one to visit the church for, अब इन्होंने एक चीज इसमें क्या बोली है, to seek the place for what it was, यानी to come to this place for the purpose for which it was made. राइट, ऐसा कौन सा जना होगा जो स्पिरिचुअलिटी के को ध्यान में रखते हुए पूजा करने के लिए इस चर्च में आखिरी बार, सबसे आखिरी बार आएगा. किसी रिलीजियस या स्पिरिचुअल सिग्निफिकेंस के हिसाब से वहां पर आएगा, वो ये जानना चाह रहे हैं. वन ऑफ द क्रू दैट टैप एंड जॉट एंड नो व्हाट रूड लॉफ्ट्स वर. नाउ वो हमें बता रहे हैं, गेस कर रहे हैं, हो सकता है कि कोई क्रू मेंबर हो जो शिप पे जो वाइन सर्व करता था वो यहाँ तक आए. रूड लॉफ्ट्स वर, रूड लॉफ्ट्स जो है, रूड किसको कहा जाता है, वो जो क्रूसिफिक्स का साइन जिसपे जीसस क्राइस्ट को क्रूसिफाई किया गया था. इट इज द लार्ज क्रूसिफिक्स व्हिच इज देयर एट द एंट्रेंस ऑफ द चर्च. सो हो सकता है शायद शिप पर जो वाइन सर्व करता था, टैप एंड जॉट वर्ड इसके लिए आया है, शायद वो चर्च तक आए. सम रुइन बाइबल. सो बाइबल किसको कहा गया, जो एडिक्ट होता है. रुइन्स यानी जो खंडहरों में जाकर वो सर्च फॉर द फॉर्च्यून. रैंडी फॉर एंटीक. सो वन हु इज who comes here for the antiques, that is he is some antiquarian or Christmas addict, or maybe someone who is in the habit of visiting church at Christmas, counting on a whiff of gown and bands and organ pipes and myrrh. So what is he saying? हो सकता है शायद कोई ऐसा आए जिसकी हैबिट सिर्फ चर्च में कब आने की है, जब क्रिसमस होती है. And what will he see now? He now wants to recall he has come here so that he can recall the original atmosphere of the church. और वो क्या देख रहा है वहां पे, गाउन एंड बैंड्स, ये ऑर्गन पाइप्स, ये सब जो हैं, जो वर्ड्स यूज करे गए हैं, ये क्या सिंबलाइज करते हैं, चर्च का एटमॉस्फेयर. हु वेयर्स द गाउन एंड बैंड्स? वहां जो फादर होते हैं, क्लर्जीमैन होते हैं, राइट, दे वेयर इट. ऑर्गन पाइप जो वहां पे प्ले किया जाता है. सो ये यही चीज इसमें बता रहे हैं. मर इज स्टिकी, एक प्लांट में से एक स्टिकी सा सब्सटेंस निकलता है विच इज यूज्ड फॉर मेकिंग द इंसेंस स्टिक्स, अगरबत्ती वगैरह बनाने के जो काम में आता है. सो बेसिकली ये जो सेंटेंस है ये बता रहा है, some Christmas addict, he has come to this place because he wants to recall what the original atmosphere of a church is. So वहाँ उनको सब चीजें दिख रही हैं, gown, bands, organ pipes, mirror. So maybe he has come to see that. Or will he be my representative? So poet has again a question. What is he saying? Maybe the last person to visit this church, he might resemble the speaker himself. शायद वो poet जैसा है, वो उन्हीं का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है कि वो देखने आया है कि चर्च में लोग आ रहे हैं या नहीं. Coming to stanza number 6, bored, uninformed, knowing the ghostly silt, dispersed, yet tending to this cross of ground, through suburb, scrub, because it held unsplit so long and equably what sense is found only in separation, marriage and birth and death and thoughts of these. For whom was built this special cell? So here he is addressing the church as a special cell. So what is he saying? Bored. Maybe that person is a representative of the poet. जैसे पोएट बोर होने पर घूमने निकलते हैं और उनकी क्या है कि वो चर्चेस विजिट करते हैं अलग अलग, है ना? तो शायद वो भी जो यहाँ पर आया है bored, uninformed. He is ignorant. He is ignorant about the use of this of the church. Knowing the ghostly silt. Now what is silt? Silt जो होती है, that is the soil which the river or flood leaves behind. जब बाढ़ आती है, पानी बह जाता है, जो soil पीछे रह जाती है, वो उपजाऊ मिट्टी, उसे silt कहा जाता है ना? और dispersed, ghostly because there is no one. वहाँ का atmosphere कैसा है? चारों तरफ पेड़ उगे हुए हैं. It appears to be haunted, है ना? तो उसके लिए ये बता रहे हैं dispersed is बिखरा हुआ, which is spread all around. So what does he see? So like a silt, वहां पर इतने समय में चारों तरफ क्या है? Soil जो है वो बिखरी हुई है. और हम इसको इस तरह से भी कह सकते हैं, he is like silt, like silt. He is a representation, he is a representative left behind. This man who has come to pay his visit to the church, he is a representative who is left behind. And that man, he is wandering around in the church building. Okay? जिस तरह से मिट्टी बिखरी हुई है, घोस्टली सा एटमॉस्फेयर है, उस तरह से जो विजिट कर रहा है उसको भी यही कहा जा रहा है, like a ghost. He is like a representative of the poet. और उसका काम क्या है? वो सिर्फ ये देखने आया है कि चर्च में या इस बिल्डिंग में अब क्या कोई आता है या ये अभी भी haunted है. Through suburb scrub because it held unsplit. Unsplit means, unsplit का मतलब split करना होता है अलग हो जाना. Unsplit यानी जो एक साथ है. So यहाँ पर हम क्या देख रहे हैं? A person who wants to seek some knowledge. Maybe he has come to this place. He has come to this place because still he feels, although no one is visiting this church, but it is unsplit. That is the purpose, the religious purpose of this place is still there. So long and equably, what sense is found only in separation. अब ये चीज बता रहे हैं, he has come here for the knowledge about those ceremonies which were held here. So one ceremony is the marriage. Why does he talk of the separation? Because it was the time when the divorces and separations were too much in vogue. At the time of birth of a child also, to baptize the child, बच्चे का जब नामकरण होता है उसको बैप्टाइज किया जाता है, उस समय भी चर्च लाया जाता था. एंड डेथ, इवन आफ्टर डेथ, उसके बाद में भी इंसान को चर्च लाया जाता है, where the last rites are carried out and then finally he is buried in the church. And thoughts of these for whom was built this special cell. So the poet, what is he thinking? The thought is coming to his mind. What was this special cell made for? He's addressing the church, not as a church, but as a special cell. For though I have no idea what this accorded frosty barn is worth, it pleases me to stand in silence here. So, what is the poet saying? See, he has compared the church to a frosty barn. Barn क्या होता है? Barn होता है store where the grains are kept. Because the church building is of no use, so he has compared it to a special cell, and then he calls it a barn, a frosty barn. A barn, frosty again, it means smelly or musty barn. It pleases me to stand in silence here. And what is he saying? The poet, he is pleased to stand silently inside the church. Although he has no idea what it is equipped for, what it is better, what it was better used for. But this place right now, it is no better than a barn for him. बार्न मैं आपको अभी बताया जहाँ पे ग्रेन या वीट वगैरह स्टोर किया जाता था. सो उस बिल्डिंग को देख के उसको ये समझ ही नहीं आ रहा कि इस बिल्डिंग का पर्पस क्या था, ये इसको किस लिए बनाया गया था, किस तरह से इक्विप किया गया था. सो राइट नाउ दिस बिल्डिंग, church building, is no better than a barn for the visitor. Coming to the last or the final stanza, stanza number 7 of the poem. So you will see, although at times he has mocked, the tone is not always serious, but the concluding paragraph it ends on a serious note. A serious house on serious earth it is, in whose blent air all our compulsions meet, are recognized and robed as destinies, and that much never can be obsolete. Since someone will forever be surprising, a hunger in himself to be more serious, and gravitating with it to this ground, which he once heard was proper to grow wise in, if only that so many dead lie around. So finally, the speaker in the poem, he feels that a church is a serious house situated on serious earth, and in whose blent air, blend is the mingled, mili juli jo air hai, all those human urges which bring people to it. And this air, all our compulsions meet. That is, people, they come to this place for various reasons. They are recognized and robed as destinies. That is, people, they come to this place which decides their destinies. People look upon the church as a place which decides their destinies. And that much never can be obsolete. So what is he saying? That the spiritual essence of the churches, it will never be completely obsolete. It will never be ignored or forgotten, since someone will forever be surprising a hunger in himself to be more serious, because someone or other at all times, he is going to have a desire to visit a church. So although it is surprising, but this hunger, this desire in himself to be more serious, that desire will be there for him to visit a church, and gravitating with it to this ground. There are chances that the church is ruined, but still people will have that desire and they will come to this place, because at some point of time in their life, what will happen? Which he once heard was proper to grow wise in. So at some point of time, he remembers having heard that church was a place where one could become wise, where he can grow wise. If only that so many dead lie around. And if for no other reason, they will come here for a simple fact. And what is that fact? That numerous dead people, they are lying buried in the churchyard. So he believes it is a serious house on earth, and there will be various reasons for people to come to this place. Some will come to this place thinking that their destiny was decided here. It is never going to be forgotten. It is never going to be ignored. Just as the faith had come to an end, same will happen with the superstition. Someone or other with that deep-rooted faith is going to come to this place. Some will come because they want to be serious. That is, they want to gain knowledge at that place. And someone would come to be wise. And if not for any other reason, we will see that people will come to this place because number of dead persons are lying there, buried in the churchyard. So with this, the poem, its explanation comes to an end. What do we see? That the tone of the poem is simple and he has written it in conversational style. The diction is simple, although the theme is serious. And while going through the poem, you must have noticed that several important questions were raised by the poet regarding the role of religion in the poem. So with this, I come to an end, and I believe that you all will go through the other poems of Philip Larkin as well. Thank you so much.